Hello, Christmas is nearing, and I saw this article in the Telegraph, and have to tell you, I was pretty disgusted by the whole thing. And yes, I think the person giving advice could have handled it better as well, much better. So I'm going to go through this. It's about being lonely at Christmas, but a sort of self-imposed loneliness. Okay, so this is called the midults. What are the midults? Hang on, I'm just going to check what midults are. All right, so according to the AI overview, a midult is a woman. Why is this just about women? Anyway, I look, you may have noticed, but I am a woman. I'm a real one. You know, I was born that way and all the rest of it. I have the card. But there is a sort of feminization of society, which I find somewhat disturbing. And this midult is a woman between the ages of 35 and 55 who's digitally literate, financially established and financially confident. Oh, okay, so the term was coined by journalists Annabelle Rivkin and Emily McMeekan. That's interesting because those are the two very people who made this, who wrote this article. Who launched a digital platform to represent this often overlooked demographic. Overlooked? The midults are characterised by a blend of modern sensibilities, such as online savviness, and the realities of middle age, including balancing career, family, and life changes. That's just being a woman. Right. Now, there are some things I say about women and men that are very different. We don't really think about them, but I did mention this once. I was chatting to some academics. I was at an academic conference, and I don't know, it was something to do with men, and this was a long time before the trans issue. This was years and years ago. But I said, look, if you have a room full of women, you'll find women they may be just sitting about. It's just women. And they'll be sitting like this, and they'll be sitting with their legs up, and they'll be, sort of doing just generally, sort of throwing themselves about. But if one man comes into the room, all of the women will sit up. Not that they're paying attention to the man. They're not sitting up out of respect for the man. They're sitting up because their legs are in the wrong position for when a man is there. They'll have to sit up and they put their knees together or cross their legs, or they will not sit, sort of physically open. They will immediately hunker inwards. Because being physically open, and you don't even think about it, just happens. And that's why I think I might have been talking about the fact that there used to be in King's, that's what it was, in King's College, in universities, there used to be women's common rooms. And all that, I don't know of any right now that there are. There might be one or two, but even if there are, there won't be much use because of the trans thing. But so we were talking about female-only common rooms and why I thought they were still necessary, because those are the only places where women can relax completely. Anyway, that was that is just little things like that about being a woman, that it just happens. You don't notice it unless you're actually thinking about it, and the reason I was aware of it was because I read a lot of Margaret Mead, and she was talking about the way the natives of whatever place she was studying, how they disported themselves. And she noticed that the women who were unclothed sat cross-legged on the ground while they were weaving or doing pottery or whatever they were doing. But if a man was in the area, they would put the heel of one of their feet in towards their genital area to hide it. Not strictly hiding it, just making sure it was obvious it wasn't open for business. So I became aware of this particular little survival tactic that women have. All right, well, yeah, I've gone right off that subject. Now, this woman, a midult, says she's already dreading Christmas. I spend all year dreading Christmas. Well, that's a bad sign to start with. Now, look, I am excluding people who have some sort of psychiatric or even psychological problem with crowds or parties, okay? I'm excluding those people, and I'm excluding anyone with a physical disability that makes it difficult to get out, okay? I am referring to this midult who's obviously reasonably physically fit, between 35 and 55, digitally literate, established, confident, all the rest of it. I'm referring to you, okay? I spent all year dreading Christmas. Well, that's a problem to start with. There's so much more in the world, and you're focusing in on Christmas. Why? Okay. I've always hated it, she says. It makes me feel lonely and sad, and it has been this way my entire adult life. My family treat it as a joke. They always tell me I'm a Grinch and a Scrooge, while basically forcing me to turn up to their houses and buy presents for their children. Okay, let's start with that. If you have a problem with crowds, then I understand. But that's your problem with crowds. That's not Christmas. And buying presents for children. What do you mean, forcing me to buy presents for children? Buying presents for children is a joy, and you don't have to get a lot of fancy stuff either. I mean, if you can't think of a present, put, depending on your financial circumstances, a sum of money in an envelope with a spend this wisely, I wouldn't advice on the top of it, and give it to the kid. I had recently I suppose you could call her a great niece, really. Oh, God, does that make me feel old? Anyway, I just gave her a really nice sum of money to celebrate her 16th birthday. I couldn't think of what to buy for her, so I just gave her some money. And if this woman is a midult and financially established, then that shouldn't be a problem, should it? Okay, so that is forcing me to buy presents for their children. Seems to me that the big problem this woman has is selfishness. That's it. That's her problem. And the problem with Christmas is, however commercialised it is, it's about not being selfish. That's the whole point, isn't it? So, of course, it seems to directly fly in her face. I live alone. Well, why am I not surprised? And I don't see why I shouldn't just stay on my own sofa with a bottle of wine. Well, yeah, so why not? Why don't you do that? So why do you turn up at these relatives if you'd rather stay at home with a bottle of wine? Because basically you don't want to stay at home with a bottle of wine, because a bottle of wine is not great company, and it doesn't look like you're great company either, not even to yourself. I don't believe it doesn't mean anything. Christmas is a time for giving and participating in a celebration of giving. Now, often people take this too far. I understand, but people take everything too far. That's the nature of humanity. Why the stupid, expensive fuss every year? It's not stupid. And sometimes it's ill-advised. That's another thing. Right, so this is the woman, and this is the answer. It's fine to hate Christmas. No, it isn't. Many would argue there's plenty to hate about Christmas, as long as you can be reasonably sure that hating Christmas isn't your way to verbalise the fact that you're sad. Yeah, not sad, selfish, completely wrapped up in her own feelings. Year round, the world can feel as though it's all about couples and families, but in December, the romance and twinkles and sentimentality entirely take over. Thoughtful gift for loved ones, togetherness, couple. Oh, blah-de, blah-de, blah. Oh, blah-de, blah-de, blah. With this in mind, where some people see Christmas as an opportunity to seize hold of the festivities and joy and cheer, others will see it as a time when their loneliness, fear or resentment weighs so much more heavily upon them. Is sitting on the sofa and isolating with only wine for company necessarily the most helpful way for you to do Christmas? Look, a few years ago, or quite a few years ago, it just so happened I was on my own over Christmas. My husband was abroad on a lecture tour, and all my kids were off in different things. It wasn't that it was planned, it just happened like that. So I was on my own. That left me on my own at Christmas, and I have a whole family which I would have preferred to have been around at the time, but I couldn't be around. So what did I do? Sit home with a bottle of wine and my cat? No, I went to the stables because they are, of course, always short-handed at Christmas. A lot of people are, Christmas family dinners and all the rest of it. And I, being at a loose end, and I did have something nice made to eat when I got home, but basically I wasn't having a family Christmas dinner. So I went to the stables. I told them I'm on my own this year, so I'll stand in for some of the stable hands. And it was actually, I'd say, one of the biggest privileges I could possibly imagine, because while I was there, one of the horses suddenly started colicking. Colic is very dangerous in a horse. I have explained the horse's intestines are, for various very good reasons, very loose inside the horse's body, and they can sometimes kink up or actually knot up. And that causes, suppuration. It means the horse can't digest stuff. The peristaltic waves stop and all sorts of terrible things happen. And she wanted to get the horse to the veterinary hospital, which is about 20 miles away from the stables. I don't remember exactly, but anyway, I could drive the horse box, and I drove her up to the vets, and there she left the horse with them, and then we came back. Now, she might have been able to get an emergency vet out, that it would have cost her hundreds of pounds, and she wasn't a wealthy woman at all. A lot of people who own horses work double shifts at the cash till in the local supermarket to pay for their obsession. So, and this was that sort of a woman. So I had the privilege of taking her to the vet college to possibly save the life of her horse. Now, that's just because I was there. Now, I don't suggest this midult owns a horse or deals with stables, but there are other things you can do that can put you in that same privileged position. After all, there are many homeless people who go to shelters for Christmas dinner. You could be there, couldn't you? Helping these people. Then you don't have to go to your relatives. You can say, oops, sorry, I'd love to come to your Christmas thrash, but I've got to be down the local Salvation Army shelter, ladling out carrots and and stuffing or whatever you're ladling out there on Christmas Day. You know, there's so much you can do at Christmas that has nothing to do with celebrating, but has to do with giving. And we're back to this giving business, aren't we? This is somebody who finds giving difficult. And I'm not talking about giving gifts, although that's nice in itself. It's not necessary. Giving of yourself. I'm sorry, I'm starting to preach, aren't I? Is sitting on the sofa and isolating necessarily the most helpful way for you to do Christmas? Yeah. What if you summoned up the energy to change your Christmas script from hating Christmas to curating that time of year so it works for you? You see, this is where I take a different path from this whoever's advising her, Annabelle Rifkin and Emily McMeekan. No. You know, to curating that time of year, that's nonsense. Find some place that needs help at Christmas because everybody else is at parties and you're on your own. Find some place you can go to fill in for these people, to, I don't know, even hospital visiting. There are people in hospitals who are on their own over Christmas. They are people who might wish to be with family and can't, and their family are all having family get-togethers. You could just go and say hello to those sorts of people. I mean, there are hundreds of ways you can do stuff at Christmas, but this woman, she just wants to veg out on the sofa with a bottle of wine. Yeah, well, sometimes I feel like that bottle of wine should be just opened and poured all over somebody to wake them up. All right, that's it. Till next time.